Greetings, everybody. I just want to do another really quick video that was really just me thinking about God and, listening to something else and ruminating, which is usually how I get these uh, kind of revelatory moments. But I just had a thought that I've had before, but just the timing of it and knowing that I have this channel and stuff and then I'm making videos um, after I had that thought, I thought I should make a video right now before I forget, and kind of feeling like this might be the most important video that I do of them all, which is just and understanding the meaning of life. so what's funny is we kind of all know it. It's really simple, and I remember having this exact revelation. I was probably about 12 or 13. Like I can remember the old house we were in when I had this revelation. And I just thought, wow, yeah, that's basically it. And that's so funny because at that time in pop culture and stuff, it was really, really uh, common to hear what's the meaning of life. You almost never hear that now, which is, I don't know, I'm just thinking about that right now. Like in TV shows and all this stuff, it would be you know, some show about aliens or whatever, and somebody would be like, they're going to go in a spaceship, and they would be like, quick, ask them what the meaning of life is or whatever. It's like that concept of what's the meaning of life used to be everywhere. And, the idea that it was just this kind of impossible thing to know. Like someone would have a dream sequence and they'd be like, I dreamed that I knew everything and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what's the meaning of life? It's like, oh, I forgot it all. Ha ha ha, laugh track. Just as a question in pop culture, it would be around a lot. So that's just interesting that, almost never hear that. But I was just thinking about God and uh, what I usually do, thinking about if someone had a question and what I would say and blah, blah, blah. And I was just thinking about, just the average person who's really just, uh, what's the word, for goodness sake? They're just hesitant, not hesitant. It's not reticent, something like that, but that's not the word. But they just don't want to hear any big chunks of truth. Like they don't want to hear some big, huge thing that they have to try and chew and swallow up, which is all good information. And just how you would try to get that to how to get somebody to believe something or understand something. Like a lot of times, especially if you're a Christian, you're trying to get people to um, you're trying to convince someone or you're trying to get someone, persuade someone. And my goal has always been a little bit different. It's not even to persuade people. I'm just trying to get people to understand. And then from your understanding, you go, oh, okay, no. If you say no after that, then that's fine. Cause it's like, well, at least I know that you understood it because I explained it to you. So I see a lot of people who spend a lot of time trying to persuade. And for me, it's like, no, you need to let them, make that thing the most illuminated you can so they can make an informed decision. So we can't regret, anything. So, yeah, I was just thinking about that. And I just thought, you know what? God himself is a lot he has the same dilemma as we do because, you think about somebody asking a question and it's like, ooh, I know the answer to that question. It's not a matter of not knowing the answer. It's about are you about to, how do I get you to accept something that I know you're not going to? I'm pretty sure, you're just thinking, oh, what can I put this in? What applesauce can I crush this pill in and make this person swallow it down? It's it's really hard to get past people's wills. And so, not that you're trying to do that, but it's just it's really hard, just the idea of exchanging ideas and having them, go from one person to the next and stick in that person, and then we move on. Like, it's just really hard to do that. And so I was like, yeah, God has that exact same problem that we do, which is just like, he's just like, okay, where do I start this thing off? Okay, so I'm God. Like, is everyone clear on that? Like, it's like, I'm God, and here's the problem. Like, you are imperfect, meaning you're basically evil because everything up here is perfect. So you're like garbage at this point. But if you would like to come, I have, created a way for you to come be here if you want to be here. It's like everything that God says out of his mouth, it's probably just like, wow, is anyone going to accept what I'm about to say? Which just got me onto this whole like convoluted thing about, Israel and just the history of the Jews and all the stuff. And then I was thinking like, um, basically like God created all of like, God is doing this thing. It seems really chaotic, and why is this happening, and why is bad, and why, and it's so chaotic to the point where people don't even want to believe that there's a God at all. They just think there is just no possible way because look at this. And I'm just thinking, no, God is doing this because he decided one day to create something that, with his essence, because he wanted to create something that could, this might be the first time ever that he can be surprised, that something spontaneous can happen because he's created something that has him in it. And so yeah, this might be the first time that he can experience, a mutual something. Do you know what I mean? Like, how much is that worth? Is to am I saying like, oh, God created us because he was lonely? I'm just saying like, at some point, however long it took for him to decide to do it, he's now got the capacity of having family, really, because family uh and if you know anything about Christianity, like there's a lot of parallels to marriage and the bride of Christ and this and that. And I think the bride imagery comes because it's family. Yes, you've got the father and there's a literal son, and then it's like, oh, we marry Jesus, and then God becomes our father-in-law. It's like, well, yeah, okay, but mostly it's like there's a family at part of it that, we're all children of God, like we all have a spirit that God gave us that makes us related. And then there is the choice aspect, which is the sort of the romance part, the bride part. It's like when you choose another person and then you guys come together, and then the choice is what creates new people. So it's like that the choice of two people deciding to walk in covenant brings life into the world. And so there is a part of us that, yes, is familial, that yeah, we all have, oh, we're all God's children, all God's children. And then there's a second aspect of it that is you choosing the things of God. And that is a lot of the reason why this place is how it is, because and I keep alluding to it in other videos because I feel like I've already said it, but if I haven't said it already, it's like this place is a testing place, and the reason why it's sort of a double blind thing where you can't see God and you just have to like, is because he's trying to get people to choose him because he can. It's when you already have his essence in you, that's you're like 50% of the way. Now you got to get people to cognitively choose the good, and not just the good, but him, and who he is. And so now everybody that's going to be in heaven is going to be there because they wanted to be there. And that's actually has the potential to be a significant thing for him, where he can feel our mutual, he can feel the impact of people actually choosing him. Whereas he couldn't maybe do that before when he was just creating beautiful things that knew what heaven was and were there. And I mean, that's good too. But, when you have people who literally live in basically a swamp compared to eternity, and you can kind of whisper to them and they'll kind of like follow that voice around, that's got to be an awe-inspiring thing for everybody that's there. And so, yeah, it's a hard test, but I think too, I was thinking about like when Christians talking about going to heaven, and they're not there. For me, like, it's not so much like, oh, it's going to be like, no Christian is thinking like we're going to get up there and the angels are going to do our bidding, and we're going to like go to like ski resorts and like not have to do anything. It's like you're not thinking about being served. You're not thinking about some like, it's not like you eating grapes and, good weather forever. And it's like you're going to be able to be good there, and it won't be a problem. Like, you won't feel any like, what about that? Like, you won't feel that awful nature on you anymore. You can just be good. And, and it's not something that's like, oh, I wish I could be good so that people would like me and that God would accept me. And it's like you genuinely want it and you just can't do it here. And so the idea that you just won't have to worry about that, and you'll be able to like look at Jesus without like dying and like, other stuff, cool stuff, but mostly it's that you'll be free of the evil part of you. And like people who are not believers, who don't are still confused. They're just like, so what, are we just gonna like be at church all day? And they're still like, well, what do I get to do there? They just don't have the mind of I don't know, they're just not spiritually minded. So um yeah, there was something else I was going to say about that too, but I forgot. um so yeah, that seems to be the main purpose. Is there other places that are just as whatever? I mean, I don't know. But I will say that I was reading John 3:16 the other day. Like, I don't know, I was just reading it, and obviously, John 3:16 if you grew up in church. And I was just marveling at the part of it that I literally never thought about before, which is, for God so loved the world. Like, I just never thought, like, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever, it's the salvation scriptures. The one, if you don't know anything, you can go out in the street and get somebody with that. But I just stopped and I was like, hold on. For God so loved the world. Like, that language is 2,000 years old, but it sounds like some like white lady with like a pumpkin spice latte. Like, I so love this and I so love that. It's like, for God so loved the world. I so love it. Like, what? I never heard that like that. I was like, oh my gosh. So even if you want to say like, oh, well, you're just one of many whatevers, and there's all these other life forms and planets, and God's been creating since you began, and you're just one of many. It's like, okay, well, he so loved the world. I know that. Like, you're not going to just try to make me feel insignificant, like, no matter what. Like, either it's evolution. It's like, no, God made it all. Well, God's making everything. It's like, whatever. So no, we are significant, and if I were to guess, it just seems like it's pretty much obvious right there, since you are a human being and you know what it's like to want someone to genuinely want you. And that's such a fundamental thing, especially when we're talking about relationships. um I think that we are providing a genuinely unique experience that he actually cannot have without us being here. And is it costly? Yeah, it's costly. A lot of people are going to not make it, but that's part of the reason why he has us to go out and tell people. Why doesn't he go out and do it? Like I said, let's go back to the beginning. Uh, if he were to do it, people would accept it, and it would be like, why did you accept that? Is it because I'm God and I just showed up in all of my glory and power? Like, so I won't say that's the whole reason, but again, God is always killing two birds with one stone, at least two birds. So that's probably one of the things. Um, and Yeah, we are providing a unique experience for him. And is that self-centered? It's like, oh, you just did this for your own amusement. I mean, maybe, but guess what? He's God. That's another thing I was going to say. I was like, I can't to try and make 80 videos that are like 6 minutes each. It's like, what? I got to just say it when I remember it. But we when we hold God to human standards, like, you do know that it is perfectly all right to like not hold God to any human standard ever, because he's not a human. Like, at that point, he doesn't have to do anything. He's the main guy. So if he wanted to create us for his own amusement, then that's what he did, and you just have to say okay. And I think this is where it gets down to the essence of the rebellion part, because there is a part of being a creation that is just, you just are rolling with the punches. Like, that's the essence of creation. It's like, I don't my very first memory is me being here in the middle of living. I don't have a say of my beginning. I'm a creation. And so if God says, this is what we're going to do today, then this is what we're going to do. And some people, you've got your little God essence, and you're just like, well, what makes you the person that, it's just like, he's the person. Like, it stops with him. All of that, you can only hold human beings to this, so a lot of that stuff. You can't hold God to that stuff. And a lot of times we don't hold human beings to it. We let human beings like run right over us. And then when God is like, this is how it's going to be, we're like, and so even when we're talking about goodness and like what you think is good and what you think is right, and God's like, no, do this. And you think you know better what goodness is, and you have a better, this is going to help more people or whatever. That's rebellion. So, the good person illusion is, it unravels even more when you realize, like, God is just here to see who wants to choose him. This is about you making the choice. You getting all wrapped up in what he thinks is good and what he thinks is holy, what he thinks is wrong. I mean, all of that is part of it. Yeah, you need to know all of that so you can know the parameters, so you can make the choice. And also, the alternative is horrible. I mean, I don't know what I don't know. The alternative is to be your own God in a place where none of God's stuff is. And that's just what it is. So, hell is real. It's not a punishment. It is the alternative place that exists, because God is perfection. And when someone suddenly was like, hey, I think it could be more perfect. And I think I should be the one to try and make it more perfect, because I think you're just, I heard a really interesting video that was speculative, but it was really interesting. But it was basically, which I've heard before, but I guess I'm just leaning more towards the idea that when God decided to make human beings, like the angels were like, some of them were like, because the human beings were going to have more, whatever status or what, I don't know. It wasn't even just a status thing, it was something else. I think because there was, the timing, that was the speculative part. It was like the timing of the creation of humans was right before something else happened in heaven. There was a rebellion and the punishment was severe, and they were just like, hold up. So it could be that it was really a knockdown, drag out situation up there. Um, but that's the most perfect place. And if you want to like try and doubt that and get all in your head and be like, well, what if that's what if God is just, whatever, taking us for a ride, which eventually is probably going to happen. It's just the nature of things, I guess. Um then it's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? You want to move out? Okay, I'll make a place for you where I'm not there. It's like, I mean, I hate to make it sound like really flippant and obvious, because the fact of the matter is there's going to be a lot of, broad is the road that leads to destruction. And it's unfortunate, but I do think, even though people like to say like God did not make hell for humans, it was created for, the devil and his angels, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's a lot of people who are not going to choose God, and he probably knew that when he started the process, and those people needed a place to go. So, um, well, I understand like he doesn't wish for anyone to go there. I just wonder where these things are on the hierarchy. It's like he doesn't wish anyone to go there, but then also people are going to go and then we're going to make the choice. And also, like, he does hate the wicked. There's a You would have to tear out a lot of Bible pages to make that not be the case. So I got a little bit ranty. The main thing that I wanted you to understand is that God is creating this place because he wants family, people that will choose him. He is love and perfection and everything that we know is not here and that we're searching for, and we look for it here and there because we think, well, it's got to be somewhere because I got this idea of something that exists and I'm looking for it and I'm searching for it. He is that, and he's wanting us to choose him just on the facts alone, not because we saw him in all of his power and all of his glory and all of his splendor and all of his whatever. And I think that's really the essence of it all. So the idea, like the many paths, there's many paths to God. I just think, the other religions are trapping people in this loop. It's like, this is just about making a decision, yay or nay. And if you're just trapped in a loop of doing good works, or believing that you'll be able to do this again, you'll do another go around in another life, and just all of these tangential things that never get to a conclusion. I just think that you have to be careful with the idea of all roads leading to God. I mean, if you're a righteous person and you love the truth and you love what's good, hate what's evil, it's something I say to myself a lot because it rings true. The list of, the characteristics of the righteous, if that's you, then yeah, you might be fine in any part of the world, any religion. But overall, I think that people just need the information, and they need to understand that God is expecting them to make a choice, and not, well, can't I just, be in the middle? No, God actually hates that the worst. So please make a choice. Please pray to get yourself to a place that you can make a choice, because I know that sounds scary and it makes you want to sweat because you're like, oh no, am I going to have to, stop having an eating disorder if I choose God, or whatever weird decision you're trying to make? And like, am I going to have to stop hanging out with my abusive friend that just takes advantage of me, but she's the only friend that I have? Like, yeah, you're going to have to start moving in a direction of sober decision making, at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later, because it's getting crazy out here. And even though I've got a Rapture channel and I'm warning you about Rapture things, uh, it's not so much that that's after the Rapture happens, that's it, you're on your own. Um, I don't know, kind of, but there's after the Rapture happens, and after the believers are gone, and after the Holy Spirit has left, and after the Antichrist comes, and the mark of the beast, and you're not going to be able to buy or sell, and people are going to be dying in the streets, and there's going to be chaos and immorality and evil like you have never seen it in your life, or even thought about, or even seen in a movie. It's still not hell. Okay, so yes, as long as you're on the earth, there's still time, but you just would have missed, um, you know, it's like summer school. It's like the worst summer school you've ever been to. So please pass and graduate while you're in the grace period. And yeah, I think that's all I want to say. So God bless y'all. Thanks. Bye.